What's up, college football fans? Don't forget to check out and order your copy of Stiff Arming Football Myths, our latest football game plan book. So go on our website at footballgameplan.com/books and get your copy. We have these available in paperback as well as in PDF form.
For Bethune Cookman in this ball game, I would keep it condensed in the passing game. I know they love to spread the field, expand that defense, but I think they struggle throwing the football because of it. And if they would condense that, go with more bunch and cluster sets, I think they could have some success versus this Rattler secondary. And I would play the run on the way to the quarterback until Florida A&M shows that they can run the football with some level of consistency. You can get extra aggressive in trying to get pressure on Damien Fleming. And you want to force those Rattler wide receivers to beat the press coverage. The key is to get Damien Fleming behind that porous offensive line that's struggling right now, giving up 33 sacks so far this year, to hold that football just a little bit too long so that way your pressure can get back there and put him on the ground. And it all starts by getting aggressive on the outside and forcing those receivers to beat bump press to get open. And for FAMU in this ball game, Damien Fleming's passing rhythm will be key. He got into a groove very early last week versus Delaware State, and he blew out the Hornets 41-7. If he can do the same this week versus a very tough defense in Bethune Cookman, it bodes well for the Rattlers' success, or chances of having success in this ball game. And they have to win on first down defensively. If they can slow down Bethune Cookman's ground game and force this to be a passing game, I think they actually have the advantage at quarterback. You want to make those guys throw the football more often than not and take them out of their tendencies, and it starts by winning on first down defensively. That offensive line, like I mentioned before, they're struggling so far this year. They have to be able to communicate in this ball game. They're going to see a lot of different stunts and blitzes coming from Bethune Cookman. If they can't pick that up, it's going to be tough for Fleming to find those targets deep down the field. The biggest X factor in this game for Bethune Cookman will be the play of their quarterbacks. Last week, Quentin Williams, who was the starter all season long, struggled mightily versus Hampton. They had to go to Larry Brim, who moved the football very well via the passing game. And I think that right there shows you that he should be the starter. So we're going to see if they go with Quentin Williams. And if he's struggling early versus FAMU, do they pull him and put Brim in? But the quarterback play has to be consistent throughout this ball game in order for Bethune Cookman to have a chance. And for FAMU, it's all about trench warfare on both sides of the ball. That defensive line has to do a better job of owning the line of scrimmage. They're not getting pressure on the quarterback. They do have talent up front. I like Michael Lovejoy and what he brings to the table. Outstanding prospect. Their linebackers are very active. And on the offensive side, they have to do a better job in pass protection. They have to fire off the football to get the ground game going. So I think trench warfare on both sides of the ball will be the biggest X factor for FAMU. Now, here are some 2015 draft-eligible prospects you want to keep an eye on in this ball game for Florida A&M. Quarterback Damien Fleming showed last week versus Delaware State what we wanted to see all season long. When he is well protected in the pocket, he can pick apart a defense. He has every attribute that you look for in a quarterback, and he put together an impressive showing last week versus the Hornets. And they have two solid defensive prospects that are juniors. Akil Blunt, outstanding linebacker, I believe can play inside or out, and Michael Lovejoy up front, the defensive tackle, 6'4", 300 pounds. Keep an eye on both of these guys moving forward as 2016 approaches. And for Bethune Cookman, you can see why their defense is very tough. Lebreton Richardson headlines this group at 6'2", 255, a defensive end, but also projects as an outside edge rusher in a 3-4 defense. And Ronnie Barrow is a guy that plays on the opposite side of the line of scrimmage consistently. I love what he brings to the table from a pass rushing perspective. And I'm a big fan of Anthony Jordan, a running back who has battled injuries throughout the course of his Wildcat career. And if he can stay healthy, he has more than enough skill sets to stick at the next level. And Ralph Williams, the thumper on the inside at 6'1", 240, I think he has great range from sideline to sideline for an inside backer. Rudy Hubbard is definitely a campus legend, coaching the Rattlers from 1974 to 1985. Hubbard was able to bring the program out of the doldrums posting a winning record in his first season, going 6-5, and went on to win 2 Black College national championships, one in 1977 finishing 11-0, and in 78 finishing 12-1. Also in 1978, the Rattlers went on to win the inaugural 1AA championship, knocking off UMass in a big-time victory, and Hubbard also led the Rattlers to its biggest upset in school history, beating the Miami Hurricanes in 1979. He would finish his career with an 83-48-3 record. One of the best cornerbacks in college football history hails from Bethune-Cookman, and that's Rasheem Mathis. Mathis still owns the NCAA record for most interceptions in a season with 14 and in a career with 31. His last season with the Wildcats, he was able to take home the Buck Buchanan Award, which is given to the Defensive Player of the Year in the FCS. What is the Florida Classic, you ask? Well, these schools have played each other since 1925, with FAMU leading the all-time series 46-15-1, and the Florida Classic was started back in 1978 with a 2-year hiatus in 83 and in 84. Originally played in Tampa, the game was moved to Orlando in 1997, where it's permanently located. Routinely drawing big crowds, the Florida Classic averages well over 55,000 fans. And while Florida A&M has the overall lead in the series with 21 victories and 13 losses, Bethune-Cookman has won the last 3 matchups. In the 2004 game, the Wildcats were down 17 at halftime, and then the scoring frenzy took place in the second half as freshman quarterback Jimmy Russell came into the game in the first quarter for the injured starter and threw for over 320 yards and a touchdown, while also rushing for 100 yards and a touchdown, pushing the game into overtime, where the Wildcats defense stiffened and was able to hold on for a 58-52 victory. In the inaugural Florida Classic, FAMU was down 17-0 at halftime and mounted one of the best comebacks in program history to knock off Bethune-Cookman 27-17, just adding to the legend of Coach Rudy Hubbard and that 1978 Rattler team that went on to become 1AA national champions. I like Bethune-Cookman in this ballgame. Now, there's a lot to be said about Rattler pride, but Bethune-Cookman still has a lot to play for. They're fighting for a playoff berth in the FCS playoffs. I think they're going to come out and play great defense, forcing a lot of 3-and-outs very early for Florida A&M and be able to pull away slowly from the Rattlers. So I think Bethune-Cookman wins this year's edition of the Florida Classic.
What's up, FCS football fans? I'm Emory Hunt, the czar of the playbook with FootballGameplan.com.
And I'm Kevin Marshall from AnyGivenSaturday.com.
And we are the hosts of the FCS Wedge presented by AnyGivenSaturday.com.
Check your local listings for station and time in your area.